News! Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from the men's flyweight division via the WBC. Julio Cesar Rey Martinez has notified the World Boxing Council that he will vacate his WBC flyweight title to move up to the super flyweight division, which comparatively is a hotter division right now. After careful reflection, I vacated the flyweight title to pursue new opportunities at super flyweight. This step will allow me to continue growing as a boxer and face new challenges. I'm very grateful to the WBC for their support throughout my career.
Mr. Unreliable.
Being honest with you, it's not much of a loss to the men's flyweight division that Julio Cesar Martinez has vacated his title and now leaving. Perhaps the next WBC champion will be more interested than he was in unifying titles. Perhaps because the effort was there, the desire was there from Matchroom to put Julio in the ring with Sonny Edwards. Remember, they were both with Matchroom for a time. Sonny still is, whereas Julio appears to have jumped ship.
He's not with Matchroom anymore.
You know, the story was that Matchroom wanted to do that fight between them, that unification match for what was Sonny's IBF and Julio's WBC. Word around the campfire was that Julio wasn't committed. Anecdotally,
I believe it.
Julio Cesar Martinez first became WBC champion at this weight a little over 4 years ago, in December of 2019. He reigned as champion for a little over 4 years, 7 successful defenses of the WBC title.
Seven.
Though nothing to write home about, nothing memorable. He didn't unify titles with anybody that was there, in spite of being there with 3 other world champions alongside him.
Sonny Edwards holding IBF, Artem Dalakian holding a WBA.
Who was holding a WBO?
I really don't remember, but that's not the point. The point is that Julio made no effort to unify titles with any of the other champions at this weight. So now he wants to move up to super flyweight, and I don't get the sense he's going to be any more ambitious as a super flyweight than he was as a flyweight.
Sporting a professional record of 21 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 15 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 24 professional bouts. He didn't want the smoke, the big smoke, at flyweight.
Does he want it now at Superfly?
The super flyweight division is a comparatively deeper division. Juan Francisco Estrada is up there. He's set to defend his title against Bam Rodriguez, who recently moved up. Longtime champion of Japan, Kazuto Ioka, is up there. He's set to unify titles with his fellow champion, Fernando Martinez, for what are the WBA and IBF titles.
Where does Julio fit into that picture?
I don't know. Does he go back to Matchroom? See about fighting the winner of Gallo Estrada versus Bam Rodriguez? Is that what he's going to do? He last saw action earlier this year in March, and he only fought once the year before, in May.
Mr. Unreliable.
Now that he's not a champion anymore, what does he bring to the table to entice some of these somebodies at super flyweight to face him? You know, he actually went up there. He actually went up there once to face Chocolatito. I don't know if you guys remember. He fought Chocolatito there, and Chocolatito gave him a thorough boxing lesson. He schooled Julio Cesar Martinez.
That was in March of 2022.
Losing that fight at super flyweight did not affect his status as a champion at flyweight, but now he's not a champion anymore. He's moving up. The guy in the pole position to become the next WBC champion at flyweight is Angel Lardizabal.
What?
He's ranked at number 1, Mexico's own Francisco Rodriguez Jr. He's ranked at number 2. I suppose that a fight between them may take place to crown the next WBC champion. We'll see. There seems to be a great migration in the flyweight division, as Julio's title is the 3rd title to go vacant within the last 12 months. Since Bam Rodriguez has moved up to super flyweight and he's going to fight Gallo, he vacated his IBF and WBO titles. Julio Cesar Martinez, he seems to be following him up there. He's vacating his WBC. So the landscape at flyweight is set to change dramatically, and I suppose it's all for the best. Would seem that the only reigning champion left at this weight is Japan's own Seigo Okolie, who became champion in January of this year by beating Artem Dalakian
of Ukraine.
So that's the skinny. The landscape at flyweight is set to change drastically, and Julio Cesar Martinez is moving up to super flyweight. Don't know how ambitious he's going to be up there, but that's where he's going. Upstairs at Bridgerweight, ahead of this Friday's big Bridgerweight showdown, former WBO cruiserweight champion Lawrence Okolie says, he being Lucas Rozanski,
he's never been in with anyone that's on my level. I'm going to splatter him. Win by way of knockout.
Can he do that? as the away fighter on foreign soil. He says, I'm expecting it to be very hostile in there, but I'll just blank it out. If anything, it's going to fuel me. And that sounds good. Lawrence Okolie putting on this brave face.
I'm not rooting against him. I'm not rooting for him to fail. I'm just highlighting the difficulty of his circumstances. A lot of things that he used to be able to get away with when he was a defending champion on his own home turf, on his own home soil, as the house fighter.
He doesn't have those luxuries anymore.
It's tough.
Lucas has those luxuries now. He's the defending champion, the hometown fighter, and the house fighter. The Polish fans came out in force for Lucas Rozanski. Here's what he had to say at the open workout. We'll see everything on Friday. I'm setting myself up for a longer fight. Of course, I'm prepared for the full distance, and how it comes out, we'll see. If I get the opportunity, I will definitely go for the knockout. Tune in and watch my WBC World Title Defense fight. It's really worth it. This is the biggest challenge of my career, and I hope to come out on top. This is in some ways a step up in class, a step up from Alen Babic, who Lucas Rozanski fought a little over a year ago in April of last year. That's basically saying that Lucas Rozanski has only fought for a portion of a round in the last 2 years, because the year before last, he hadn't fought at all. He sat out all of 2022, only fought once in 2023, and it lasted less than a round.
I would say that Lawrence has that working for him, that Lucas hasn't fought in a while, but neither has Lawrence. It's been about the same time since Lawrence saw action. It's been a year since the Chris Billum-Smith fight. That was in May of last year. Lawrence hasn't fought since then.
So he doesn't really have that working for him now, does he? Ring rust? Yeah, maybe Lucas has some, but so does Lawrence. And he's breaking in a new trainer. He's with Joe Gallagher now.
Who was he with before?
Sugar Hill Stewart. Before Sugar Hill Stewart, he was with Shane McGuigan. But he left Shane, hired Sugar, now he's with Joe.
Whoa.
And I don't like it. Being honest with you, I've got nothing against Lawrence and nothing against Joe. But I do think it's less than ideal to try out a new corner under these circumstances.
Don't forget how we got here.
The best I've ever seen Lawrence was under Shane McGuigan. You know, the best version of Lawrence I've ever seen. And the better circumstances for him were when he was with Matchroom. As an unbeaten, reigning, defending WBO champion, his career was in much better hands then than it is now. He fought hard to get away from Matchroom so he could make a few more dollars at Boxer.
All those empty promises.
That if he leaves Matchroom to go to Boxer, they would make him the face of Sky Sports Boxing. Is he the face of Sky Sports Boxing yet? When they're shipping him off to Poland to be the away fighter under some other promotional banner.
Don't be naive. If Sky Sports were really invested in the career of Lawrence Okolie, then they would have paid to bring Lucas Rozanski to him, not the other way around.
You don't ship him off to Poland to fight under some other promotional banner if this is a fighter that you are so invested in. Clearly, they're not.
It's the truth.
He fought hard to get away from Matchroom, fought hard. Thought the grass was greener on the other side, so he crosses over just to step in shit.
Gets over there to Boxer, stinks out the joint with David Light, loses his WBO title to Chris Billum-Smith in Chris Billum-Smith's neck of the woods. Now he's facing an uphill battle in Poland. Needless to say, I don't think leaving Matchroom for Boxer has been all that fruitful for Lawrence Okolie. He has yet to parlay that migration into any semblance of success.
It hasn't worked out so far. Will it work out this Friday? I just don't know. Lawrence is taller than Lucas Rozanski, and longer, and younger.
Yeah, but Lawrence ain't got no inside game.
Lucas Rozanski is a mid-range to inside fighter, a pressure fighter, and if he gets inside on Lawrence Okolie, all that holding and all that clinching that he was getting away with before, he won't get away with that in Poland.
He's gonna have a referee that's riding his ass. In his case.
In his face. They won't hesitate to deduct a point from Lawrence Okolie if he resorts to constantly holding to smother Lucas Rozanski's work mid-range to inside, as Lucas is a mid-range to inside fighter, volume puncher, and he's very strong, that if he does close the distance on Lawrence,
Could be in trouble.
in spite of his physical dimensions, being as tall as he is, as long as he is, with all that reach, Lawrence Okolie has never exhibited ability to manage the distance, to manage it effectively, in spite of those long levers. That's why so often in a fight, he holds.
What do you mean, manage the distance?
Keep the guy in front of you with your lead hand. Use your jab. get your range down, and pump it out there.
Not just.
Move your feet. Managing the distance is all about keeping the opponent where you want them to be. So if you're Lawrence, you want to keep the opponent at arm's length. If you're Lucas, you want to get past those long arms and get inside on Lawrence. It's a question of whether or not you can manage that, because if you can't, he's going to get inside and he's going to let punches go. And if all you can do is hold him, the referee's going to deduct a point.
That'll force the break.
Open Lawrence up for punches. No, I don't like Lawrence's chances.
If he can do it, then great. But I don't think he's going to. I think Lucas is going to beat him.
By hook or by crook. I like Lucas Rozanski. I like him this Friday. I think that both guys can hurt each other. That Lawrence punches hard enough that if he can get in with a good right hand, he could stop Lucas, but the same is true in reverse.
Lucas can hurt him.
He's a big puncher. 15-0 with 14 KOs. Lucas Rozanski has never fought for 12 rounds because he's never had to. The only time he's ever gone to a decision was years ago in what was a 4-rounder.
But not 12.
I suppose that favors Lawrence in some ways, that if he can drag this out somehow and survive, get it into the later rounds, the championship rounds, maybe he can take Lucas out then, maybe.
I say maybe because he couldn't knock out David Light. Is he going to knock out Lucas?
I don't know if he can. If he does, good for him, though going into this fight, I don't like his chances. I'm going with Lucas. I'm going with Lucas Rozanski by hook or by crook.
This will be broadcasted by way of Sky Sports in the UK, Peacock in the US.
If you're interested, most Lawrence Okolie fights are very, very hard to watch. The aesthetic of his matches, but the aesthetic of Lucas's matches are actually a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, he can make things interesting.
So you might want to tune in. Upstairs at heavyweight, it was announced earlier today by way of Queensbury Promotions that Smokin' Joe Joyce is going to be returning to action in a 12-rounder opposite the ring fan favorite, Derek Chisora.
The mines of Moria.
These guys are up there in age, even if they have very different resumes, different experience levels as professionals. They're both in the same age group. Joe's 38, Derek's 40.
They're both long in the tooth.
Joe Joyce sports a professional record of 16 wins with 2 losses, no draws, 15 knockouts, having been knocked out 2 times in 18 professional contests. The Derek Chisora sports a professional record of 34 wins with 13 losses, no draws, 23 knockouts, having been knocked out 4 times.
In 47 professional contests, close to 50 fights, Derek Chisora has been around a long time.
A relic of the Klitschko era that still lingers. A remnant.
I like the fight.
You do?
Because of the aesthetic. Joe Joyce throws a lot of punches. Derek Chisora throws a lot of punches. There ain't gonna be no fussing about when you get them both in the ring. Somebody's getting knocked out.
Somebody is. I don't have any illusions about what this means. What this means for Derek Chisora. If he loses, he really does need to hang them up. He really does need to call it a career if he loses this fight. He's coming off a win. A points decision win over Gerald Washington. And Joe Joyce is coming off a knockout win over Cash Ali, what was a rebound fight after those 2 crushing defeats to Zhilei Zhang. Joe's back in the winner's bracket. He was in action earlier this year in March.
Right.
He knocked out Cash Ali. It took him 10 rounds to do it, but he did it. And, I don't have any illusions about what this means. What this means for Derek if he loses, what this means for Joe if he loses, though I don't think he's going to.
It'll be fun while it lasts.
Aesthetically, it's a fun fight because Derek throws a lot of punches. Joe does, and somebody's going to get knocked out. Too often, fight fans don't know how to enjoy boxing. They nitpick everything.
I'm not telling you this is a high-quality fight. I'm saying it's something to watch.
It'll be entertaining. What's made Derek Chisora such a fan favorite over the years is he's willing to take on the tough fights, even here and now, at 40 years old, when he's not favored to win. I don't think he is. He's still willing to take on tough challenges at 40 years old, and that's why when Derek Chisora's fighting, people are watching. People are going to show up. Yeah, I think this is going to do all right at the gate.
And I do think people are going to tune in.
For Joe, while I don't mind this fight, and I don't, if you're going from Cash Ali to Derek Chisora, that means you want to take it easy for a bit. You want to be on easy street for a little while longer because your contemporaries, the other guys at the weight, they're taking on tough challenges. Daniel Dubois off the loss to Usyk, He fought unbeaten Jarrell Miller. Now he's fighting unbeaten Felipe Hrgovic.
And you're fighting Derek Chisora.
Little known, Agit Kabayel took on unbeaten Arslanbek Makhmudov. Then he took on unbeaten Frankie Sanchez.
And you're fighting Derek Chisora.
Deontay Wilder took on Joseph Parker, lost. Now he's fighting a guy that beat you. He's fighting Zhilei Chang.
And you're fighting Derek Chisora.
So I don't have any illusions about the matchmaking here. If you're going from a rebound fight with Cash Ali to what looks like another kind of rebound fight with Derek Chisora, it's because you want to take it easy before you take on your next tough assignment. With Derek Chisora, you have the luxury of a fan favorite, a cult favorite, who can sell some tickets that puts you in a winnable fight. Because it is a winnable fight for Joe Joyce.
I think he's gonna eat a couple of big right hands, looping right hands, in the process of winning the fight, because Derek is good for those.
Derek's got a decent looping right, and I think he's gonna land it. Joe's got leaky defense. You saw how many right hands he ate in the Daniel Dubois fight and how many more he ate in the Christian Hammer fight. You saw what Zhilei Zhang's straight left hand did to him. So, Joe ain't got the best defense. We're all aware by now. So I think it's going to be a fight that has a fan-friendly aesthetic. It's going to be entertaining. But I like Joe Joyce to win.
2-star fight.
In many ways, it's a 2-star fight, a foregone conclusion fight, that if you're a betting man, Joe Joyce would be the logical way to go. Joe Joyce would be the logical choice, but that doesn't mean it won't be entertaining. I think if nothing else, it'll be an entertaining fight to watch.
Even if it is a foregone conclusion.
Beyond this fight, if Joe Joyce wins, later on this year, perhaps things will get more interesting. Maybe he can fight the winner of Wilder versus Zhang.
If Wilder wins, I don't think he wants to run it back with Zhang, and I don't think anybody wants to see it.
Maybe he can fight the winner of Ruiz versus Miller, Jarrell Miller, set to go down in August on the undercard of Crawford versus Madrimov.
Yeah, I could go for that.
Maybe he can fight Agit Kabayel, newly crowned WBC interim champion that would line up Joe Joyce for the WBC title. If he wins.
He's got options, lots of options. Some riskier than others, but they're there.
And all he's got to do is beat Derek. Today's Derek Chisora, that's 40 years old. I mean, if you can't handle today's Derek Chisora, you might as well hang them up, because you're done at the upper echelon.
The elite level.
If you can't beat him.